Did President Trump and the 45-47 operation just nullify the national debt? Well, if they haven't yet, I think they laid the perfect legal groundwork to do so. Now I'm going to go fast on this one, so you got to follow me. So remember a few days ago, President Trump posted this eagle. Okay, no caption, just posted this eagle. Everybody lost their mind saying it was a Nazi eagle, etc. But it wasn't, of course. It's the eagle that appears on bills and on coins, etc. It's the American eagle. But what's the significance? Well, there's a tradition known as the Freedom Flyer. Now, this used to be a big tradition where when you paid off the mortgage of your home and you were debt-free, you would hang a big metal or brass eagle in front of your house. Well-known tradition. Is that what this is? Well, here's where the kicker comes in. Remember this week also the 14th Amendment got put to the Supreme Court. It was a big deal because all of the liberals were celebrating because, oh, thank God they upheld the 14th Amendment, and the conservatives all melted down about it. Well, everybody thinks it's about the birther, about the being born on American soil and you're a natural born citizen if you are, no matter who, illegals, jumping the fence, or the birthing vacations, etc.
I was looking through, I downloaded the 14th Amendment. There's been a lot of Supreme Court cases. Civil Rights Act of 1964 was upheld. This approach in the heart of Atlanta Motel versus United States. Justice Joseph Bradley made a really interesting comment about it. He said, quote, individual invasion of individual rights is not the subject matter of the 14th Amendment. It has a deeper and broader scope. It nullifies and makes void all state legislation and state action of every kind which impairs the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States or which injures them in life, liberty, or property without due process of law or which denies them equal protection of the laws. He goes on. The radical Republicans who advanced the 13th Amendment, which was abolishing slavery, hoped to ensure broad civil and human rights for the newly freed people. But its scope was disputed before it even went into effect. The framers of the 14th Amendment wanted these principles enshrined in the Constitution to protect the new Civil Rights Act from being declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court and also to prevent a future Congress from altering it by a mere majority vote. Who was the focus? The newly freed people. Not everybody trying to get here by hook, crook, or cranny.
And thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So
various groups, feminists, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks.
See, this is essentially the problem, and the Republicans
What have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. That's why the Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics because they're a larger group of Hispanics now.
But the reason people are concerned about the words they use, the reason Americans care about civil rights, the reason we are sensitive to racism is for one issue and one issue only, and that is how black Americans were treated in this country. It is because of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. Those do not compare. Irish, the new groups, they always get a little bad treatment. Do not compare that to how blacks are treated in this country. You don't get to piggyback on the black experience in America. You do not get to do that just because you are a woman, an immigrant, gay, Hispanic. No, the rest of you can go F yourselves.
But there's another provision of the 14th Amendment that no one mentioned. You know what that provision is? The provision is Section 4, and it talks about the debt. Remember, the 14th Amendment was an amendment that was created after the Civil War, and that amendment was designed to basically deal with all the problems that caused the Civil War and then get rid of all the problems that the Civil War caused. And the birther thing was just part of it. Section 4 literally said all the debt that was incurred during the Civil War by either side because there was a rebellion against the Union was legally nullified. So they just said, you know what, we're just going to nullify all the debt that was incurred. Boom, bang. Guess what? Have we been in a rebellion ever since 2009? I think so. And when you tie it in with the fact that Barack Hussein Obama's birth certificate is in question concerning its legitimacy, what if they could show legally that we were in a rebellion since 2009? Would the 14th Amendment then apply? It would. And is that why President Trump didn't really seem that bothered by the fact the Supreme Court ruled against taking down the 14th Amendment? Matter of fact, he kind of had a smile on his face. Is it because of this? Is it because they knew they were wiping away the national debt? Here, it gets even stranger. Check this out. If you look at the national debt, right, it's $40 trillion. And here's the 14th Amendment, Section 4. No legal debt exists for the U.S. to default on if it was incurred during a rebellion. Well, if you look at the national debt since 2009, 30 of the $40 trillion have been incurred since 2009. So it does wipe away all of the national debt if they want it to. It's getting good. Let's see what happens next.